Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. You guys can come closer, hold hands if you want. Allegedly, you're getting married today.
Thinking about it.
Yeah. You guys ready? Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. He's got plenty. Everyone, welcome. Today we're here to write a story. The story of our couple, Jesse and Ralph, of their love, their commitment to one another, their choice to join hands and walk into the rest of life together. And as they say, no one is an island. These two are not only joining themselves together, they're bringing two families into one, forging that connection by sheer virtue of their love for one another. On this, their most special of days, these two have asked all of you here, some physically present and others from afar, to witness them take this step in the presence of God. Cherish that knowledge. You are the ones they want with them. Today we celebrate what this couple has accomplished. We join them in reminiscing on the beginning of their relationship. We hope with them for the future and revel in this moment now as they experience one of the greatest joys there is, finding your person. As they pen this new chapter in their lives, we stand by them in both support and love, offering shoulders to lean on in times of difficulty and voices raised in joy for their triumphs together. Jesse, Ralph, considering that you're both here, I'd say it's a safe bet that you still want to get married. But I must ask, have you both come here freely and without reservation, prepared to give yourselves to each other in marriage?
Yes.
Perfect. It's always an awkward moment if there's a no. Now, will the father of the bride please rise? Sir, as I said, marriage is not about losing a loved one to their spouse. It's about gaining a whole new family. Therefore, I don't ask you to give your child away. Instead, I ask, do you give your blessing and unwavering support to both Ralph and Jesse for as long as you shall live? I do. Thank you. Please be seated. Well, perfect. Friends and family, as any accomplished storyteller would tell you, all good stories have a beginning, middle, and an end. As we gather to support this couple in their journey to the future, we must first cast our eyes backwards to understand how all this came to be. The storms they weathered, the relationship they formed, the things they've seen and done together. In other words, to understand their beginning. So with that, when did our couple's story begin? Let's take you back to 2017 when Jessie was throwing a party for her friend and now bridesmaid Jenny. Jenny, wave hi, let everyone know who you are. Jenny told her to invite another guy, now the best man, Alfredo. Alfredo, introduce yourself. But Alfredo wouldn't come without his roommates. Thanks to Facebook, Jessie was able to look up pictures of his roommates, and that's when she saw Ralph. One look, and she said, oh, he's cute, he can come. Now, when the day of the party comes, Ralph shows up without Alfredo, and even brought a box of tacos. Naturally, Jessie was crushing. We'll quickly gloss over the fact that they actually met a few months earlier, but Jessie didn't remember. And they were literally in the same room talking to the same people together. Now, one would think that he left that night with a number, but that was far from accurate. The only thing he left was a good impression, as he was a good hype man and made everyone at the party feel good. So Jessie looked him up on Snapchat, and they began to talk for a few months until finally they exchanged numbers. That said, they eventually wound up on their first date. As Ralph knew Jessie was Portuguese, he figured a fancy Portuguese restaurant was in order. After a giant plates of food and amazing sangria, Ralph was quite the gentleman and opened the door for Jessie. Now, what was not quite so gentlemanly was the fact that he shut the door on Jessie's leg. And to this day, she does not let him live that down. Be that as it may, while Jessie wasn't quite sure before this date if Ralph was a player or actually interested, there was certainly major attraction, sort of like it all. To Jessie, Ralph was funny, full of terrible dad jokes, and he knew a little about a lot of things. To Ralph, Jessie was kind, caring, creative, and artsy. Regardless, this was just the beginning, and they knew they wanted to see each other again, so they did. That one date led to another, and another, and another. The gravitational pull between them gradually pulling them tighter and tighter. And between the flusters of nerves, there formed the steady, sure beating of two hearts, drawing closer and closer together. These two had found something in each other that they had never even realized existed. Something many people on Earth hope for but never find. They found their person. Someone who made them laugh until they cried, who made time pass in a blink. Someone who fit into their life so perfectly, it was a wonder they hadn't been there the whole time. After many days of this, Ralph woke up one day and he just knew Jessie was his forever. And so, we move to the next chapter in our story, the proposal. Now, as anyone here who has ever planned a proposal will know, it takes some guts, a little secrecy, and maybe even a little luck. This was no exception, especially when the guy starts doing things he normally doesn't do. Now, Ralph knew he was going to propose, he just didn't know when. So after having the ring for quite some time, he came up with the perfect plan. A train ride along with the Royal Gorge, four-wheeling through some mountains, and a final finale helicopter ride. It was reminiscent of an episode of The Bachelor, and Ralph got to chalk it up to their third anniversary. When he told Jessie he had a plan all worked out and that she could take as many pictures as she wanted, she knew he was going to propose. Because if you know anything about Ralph, you know he doesn't plan, and if anything, he hates taking pictures. 2 dead giveaways. So the weekend comes, and Jessie gets all cute. Royal Gorge train ride, but no proposal. ATVs to the mountains? Check, but no proposal. Helicopter ride? Well, the weather rolled in, so they weren't able to go. As a result of the incoming snowstorm, they decided to leave early and avoid the heavy snow. It was over. There would be no proposing, Jessie thought. But Ralph wasn't leaving that mountain without a fiancée. So he set up the GoPro in the living room of the cabin while Jessie was in the other room packing. He then calls for her. She comes in and finds Ralph on one knee with a ring in his hand. And thank God for that GoPro, because Ralph actually has proof that he had a beautiful speech. As the only thing Jessie remembers is crying with excitement. Naturally, she said yes, and here we stand today. Ralph, Jessie, have you ever wondered why we celebrate a wedding day? Why we bring our families together from far and wide, put on beautiful clothes, and walk down an aisle, all to mark the passing of a single day. After all, there are many thousands of moments in our lives, and many of them are worth celebrating. It's because this day, this incredible day, is unique. Why? Well, humans are social creatures. We're ultimately born to form connections, support communities, and create families. In other words, we're all born to love. Whether that love be for our parents, a stranger on the street having a difficult time, or the person that we choose to spend the rest of our lives with, that love is what characterizes us. It's the kind that ignores the small things, sifting through the tiny irritations and pet peeves in life to yield true connection. And on your wedding day, you're defined by this love. That, above all else, is what brought you two together at the beginning of your relationship, and it's what has brought everyone here today. We're all here not only to revel in that love, but to support it, nurture it, bless it in the sight of God, and help it evolve as the two of you grow together. We've all loved in our lifetimes, so we all know it's magic, and we want to do everything we can to continue to help it grow forever. Love is not a fairy tale, nor is it the solution to every problem, but it is powerful. Ultimately, love is the experience of writing our own story. However, just because this day is incredible, special does not mean it overrides the other 1,000 moments that have brought us all here today. It stands on their shoulders. Certainly the big ones, first meeting at that party, getting out on that perfect Portuguese first date, getting that last first kiss, running the long romantic gesture that led you to those 3 heart-changing words written on the last of the 365 notes, I love you. Getting the most perfect proposal from your most perfect man, and even standing here today. But also the little ones, the ones that make up the day-to-day. Things like getting out together, playing board games, going out to eat, playing volleyball, or playing some disc golf together, hanging out with Crouton, waking up next to each other, getting a big hug when you get home from work. These are the million little building blocks that form a life, the ones that hold you up in tough times, stand as a wall in a storm, or crack piece by piece to let sunlight creep in. They swirl together into your experience as a couple, by no means perfect, but stronger for having weathered the world and come out smiling. Now on this such auspicious day, it's natural for nerves and, even a little fear to creep in. In a way, it's good. As they say, to feel pain is to know we're alive. In this case, to feel a little nervous is to know that you're making this decision and taking this step with your eyes wide open, hands clasped together in the grasp of your partner. You do not turn the page into this next chapter blindly. You stand together and face the future with all the joy, strength, and ambition your past has fostered in you. If ever you feel that fear, just remember this. You'll never love the person standing across from you in the same way twice. As life is changeable, so too are the inner worlds of the people who live it. And embracing that changeability is what leads to happy, healthy marriages. Love is about making a choice every single day to wake up and love the person lying next to you, to see the beauty in their changes, to be honest and open and loving when you are joyful or in pain, and finally, to be held and assured when you express these feelings. It's an active decision, one we continually make, and that's what ensures we're constantly working to make our relationships as good as they can be. In fact, remembering and nurturing your love is the key to weathering difficult times in all their forms. In many ways, you already know what this feels like. Take, for instance, the beginning of your relationship, which was all long distance. While long distance has a way of killing relationships, you two figured out a way to make it work. You learned to communicate and to make each other feel that they were a valuable part of the relationship, even if across the country from one another. Then, when you were together, you spent that time focused on your relationship, like going to upstate New York and staying in that getaway cabin with your phones locked away in a box. There you sat around a fire, played life, and connected. It's these moments that make your foundation stronger. These moments that really show what you have in a real relationship and what it's all about. Often, however, it's not the big things, yet the little things that eat at us the most. Therefore, it's often knowing when to just let the little things roll off your shoulders. Little things like, sure, one of you can't seem to close the gates of your life, letting Krypton sneak upstairs. And sure, one of you forgets what the other asks you to do. But at the end of the day, you see those as just a piece of the person you love, an interlocking brick in the thousands of tiny, faceted pieces that make them up. Most importantly, it's about understanding that here, today, you're making a commitment to grow alongside one another. Mutual evolution will carry you on the paths beside each other, separate, often intersecting, but still two very distinct people. By respecting your partner's path, and yes, even those things that drive you crazy about them, you provide the richest soil in which your relationship can thrive. Now then, regardless of what I stand here and say today, ultimately it is your words, your intentions, and your vision that must define and shape this marriage. Therefore, in front of your family and friends, I now call upon you to state the words you prepared for each other, starting with you, Ralph.
You know my handwriting is terrible. Hold your hand. Let's see if I can get through this without falling apart. Jesse, you are my partner, my best friend, and my deepest love. You're kind, intelligent, caring, and strong. And I know I'll be happy, and I know we'll be happy, because I know you make me a better person just by being with you. I knew early on, before I even finished those 60 to that tiny cabin. I knew that you were the one I was going to be up here with. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Every day I am blessed to be able to love you. I swear to you, I will kiss you good morning, hug you good night. That I will take care of the spiders. All of the spiders. I swear to be I know I'm the luckiest man in the world because I get to stand up here and say I do today. I love you.
It's beautiful.
Well, mine's in pages. I wrote it. Ralph, you have always been more of a romantic than me, so I knew writing this was going to be hard. But just 2 weeks into our relationship, you saw something in us that I never thought I was going to find. You were so confident that you committed to a long-distance relationship and had a plan to meet me across the country the following year. Looking back, I could not pinpoint the exact time I fell in love with you, because I don't know that there was ever an exact time. Instead, it was a compilation of little things over time that made it really easy to realize. It was a level of comfort that I felt, even the first time hanging out with you. It was the little things like buying me that yellow toothbrush to keep at your apartment so I didn't have to pack my own. It's giving me the pickles off of your plate at the restaurant, even though you like them just because you know they're my favorite. And it was how you didn't feel far away, even when we were 1,781 miles apart. Our first Valentine's Day together, you gave me a jar full of 365 notes, one to read every day while our long distance until it was over. The first note I read was a quote that said, "No relationship is all sunshine, but two people can share an umbrella and survive the storm together." And here we are now, 5 years later. We've weathered many storms, but we've always shared the umbrella. We have literally and metaphorically built our home here together. Thank you for being the best partner to me and dog dad to Crouton. Thank you for supporting me, loving me, and challenging me daily. As we embark on this journey of the rest of our lives together, I want to make a couple of promises to you. I promise not just say I love you, but to show you every day. I promise to laugh with you, cry with you, and sing in the car with you. I promise to leave the house every Sunday when you host D&D, or at least hide upstairs. And most importantly, I promise you my whole heart for my entire life. As Andy Grammer once sang, I am yours always.
I can do it.
There stays it.
And now, remembering your spouse and the love you carry for them each day is usually shown by wearing rings that you can exchange. Do we have those chosen rings today? It's another awkward moment if they're like, Perfect. We talk about rings being an infinite circle, something intangible, but they do ultimately have a very humble and traceable beginning, the earth. Dug from rock and liquefied, these rings were forged, cooled, and painstakingly polished for the sole purpose of going on your spouse's finger. You'll carry these with you as a physical sign of your commitment, a band forged from the earth itself to ground you in your relationship, inscribing the moment you made the choice to be together on your minds for as long as you shall live. That, above all else, is something to remember as you move forward. Therefore, Ralph, as you place the ring upon Jesse's finger, please repeat after me. I, Ralph, give you a promise. A promise to put my heart in your hands. And walk alongside you. And honor your presence in my life each day. For as long as we both shall live. Do you, Ralph, promise to love Jesse, to stand by the words you say here today, to embody the best partner you can be, to accept her failures and joyfully celebrate her triumphs, all while standing solidly beside her in both the good times and the bad, and above all else, promise to be loyal and loving to her for every single day as long as you both shall live? Perfect.
Make sure it was in the right way.
And then Jesse, as you place the ring upon Ralph's finger, please repeat after me. I, Jesse, give you a promise. A promise to put my heart in your hands. And walk alongside you. And honor your presence in my life each day. For as long as we both shall live. Do you, Jesse, promise to love Ralph, to stand by the words you say here today, to embody the best partner you can be, to accept his failures and joyfully celebrate his triumphs, all while standing solidly beside him in both the good times and the bad, and above all else, promise to be loyal and loving to him for every single day as long as you both shall live? Perfect. Now, Jesse and Ralph, today's the day where you're committing to each other for all time and eternity. To help symbolize this and to have a visual remembrance of what that means to you on this day, you've chosen to participate in what is known as the pouring of sand. The sand chosen represents all that you were, all that you are, and all that you will ever be. Let's go ahead and put those up on the table.
Yep.
As these containers of sand are poured into the container, the individual containers of sand will no longer exist, but will be joined together as one. Just as these individual grains of sand can never be separated and poured again into the individual containers, so will your relationship be inseparable. This will be further cemented when the sand is sent off to be blown into wine glasses commemorating this moment. With that, Jesse, Ralph, please pour your sand. And now, before we come to the end of this chapter in your story, and before I pronounce you married, I have something I want you to do. First, look at all the people joining you here today, both those that are physically here and those that are viewing from afar. They've traveled to be here because they are part of your story, the story you've already written, and they want to be present for the turning of the page. They are here because they support you in your journey, in the story to come. To those of you who are here for these two today, you have a duty. As they have chosen to enter into marriage today, you too are choosing to stand with them in that decision, bolstering them in difficult times, celebrating with them in good ones. If you promise to be there to support this couple, to uphold their union, and to write the next chapter with them, please raise your hand now. Ralph and Jesse, look at those hands. That is powerful beyond measure. Finally, you two know that a wedding day can almost seem to pass in a blur of sight, sound, and ceremony. You're surrounded by your family and friends in celebration of the next stage in your life, filled with emotion, and that can make the hands on the clock seem to run much faster. Rarely do you get a chance to anchor yourself in the moment, so we're going to take that chance now. Now, as I stand here today, I want you to look around this place, at your people, and at each other. And as you do so, I want you to feel the safety and security of knowing that you have the right person at your side for the years to come. Feel the joy and the jubilation of the moment, of snagging the perfect person and never letting them go. Feel the support and love radiating from your loved ones. Let all these feelings burn into your heart and mind. They will carry you through anything. Ralph and Jesse, in my presence and in the presence of God and in the presence of your loved ones, oops. You have opened your hearts to one another, declared your commitment, and united yourself with the exchanging of rings. Therefore, it's so nice that it gets to be said twice. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Ralph, you may kiss the bride. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my incredible pleasure to introduce for the very first time the newly united couple, Mr. and Mrs. Lake. Please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. The bride and groom, thank you for coming. At this time, they ask for all family to stay seated here for photos. Everybody else, they invite you on my right side. There's a bar set up outside. Please join them for cocktail hour, and the couple and the family will be with you shortly. Thank you and have a great night.